Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Candid Talks with grads. My name is Ashley Ryan, and I'm the current Student Wellness Coordinator at the Graduate Student Association at the University of Waterloo. And today's Candid Talks is all about everything that goes into transitioning back to campus, because I know there's a lot of different mixed emotions and feelings and stressors that have been going around with coming back after, or we're still in COVID-19, but we're all coming back to campus, and that can create some conflicts. So we're going to be talking about this, and then I'm going to hand it off to Lena to talk about her experience as well. So coming back to campus, what are some of the feelings that some grads might be experiencing? Well, like I mentioned, some people might be experiencing like a lot of positives with association of coming back, such as, excitement, like finally after 2 years, we're finally getting some social stuff. We can go back and like meet people. A bit of relief because it seems like it's going back to a little bit more of like normalcy. New research and class opportunities. I know, especially if you were in the hard sciences or something along those lines, it was a bit challenging to be doing things in the lab and with people over the last 2 years. So those things opening back up, and people might be happy about that. Finally getting that campus experience. I know some grads maybe to this point have done their entire graduate career online so far because of the pandemic. So that might be exciting. Again, meeting new friends and networking, attending in-person events, all the stuff that people were probably looking forward to coming to Waterloo. Now, some of the negatives or things that people might be worried about transitioning back to campus include, just general stress or anxiety or potentially fear. This could be about different things like perhaps catching COVID-19 or just the unsurety of what's going to happen next and coming back, and the anxiousness or stress of feeling safe or not safe. Frustration with evolving restrictions and rules. I know, especially in Ontario, like everywhere has different rules. The government switches rules, but then some organizations and schools and companies have different rules, and it's very hard and frustrating to keep track of what the rules are, when and where, and if you have to wear a mask, if you don't have to wear a mask, and all that stuff. So that could be frustrating. Again, concern about getting sick or getting others sick, having to move close to campus. I know this has been a big stressor for students, especially with the housing right now. It can be very challenging to find like a student rental in Waterloo. So I imagine that some people might be stressed about that. And then the last thing I could think of was accessible online class options are decreasing. So one thing that people thought as a good thing with the online learning is that with all of these things being online, that it was a bit more accessible to those who maybe couldn't physically get to class or couldn't make it one day or something like that. But now we're switching back from the online options to in-person, and the school just at the moment doesn't have the full capacity to be able to offer fully online and fully in person. So that frustration might be coming out as well. So what are some resources that you can access if you're, feeling stressed or anxious or just wanting to know some information, or perhaps you come to campus and you need a question answered, you're not quite sure where to go? Some on-campus resources include Counselling Services. You can find them in Needles Hall, but if you go to their website, they also have a phone number you can call. Empower Me is a mental health service that is included with your student fees, so you can call that anytime. Health Services, the Graduate Student Association, so us, you can come to our Candid Talks events or other events, or we also offer things like confidential advising sessions to answer questions or to talk to you about things if you're having issues navigating policies at UW or trying to figure out how to navigate a conflict. You can come talk to us about that. Other resources may be the Human Rights, Equity, and Inclusion Office, the Student Success Office, the Office of Graduate Studies and Postdoctoral Affairs, the Writing and Communication Center, the Student Life Center, which just got an awesome brand new large expansion. So that would be definitely a cool place to check out. And the GSA offices are also located in there on the 3rd floor. Other resources may be that your department staff and faculty, like your grad coordinators, your grad chair, your supervisor, your professors, other students. And then the housing services on campus may be useful as well, like the off-campus housing, which is a service, and then campus housing. So some off-campus resources that might be useful are Good to Talk in Here 24/7 and external counseling services. So all of those are mental health services if you would like to access those. And there's tons of things that you can be doing if you're new to the area, like local hiking trails. And if you go to explorewaterloo.ca, you can also check out different things that kind of like the region offers for getting out there and meeting new people and doing new things. So yeah, if you ever had any questions, you feel free to reach out to us. And now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand things off to Lena.
Thank you very much, Ashley. That was super useful. I have been living in Waterloo for 2 years and a half, and I didn't know about explorewaterloo.ca, so I'm going to check that one. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my slides?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Full screen mode. Okay, so thank you very much, Ashley. This was a wonderful introduction. First of all, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for having me. And today, as Ashley told you, we are going to talk about transitioning back to campus. But I think the important title for me is how to return to university without dying in the attempt. And it's just that we have been having online courses and like under super stressful conditions for 2 years and a half. And now like we are trying to get back to university and to do all our research, but that can be super stressful at the same time. It's exciting, but it's stressful. So I would like us to do it feeling comfortable and happy during the process. And I know some of you are here, or will see this later, but I would like to start by asking you, how are you feeling right now? And I just like to write you in a notebook and just take like 30 seconds to think about how are you feeling right now. And just try to write two emotions. And the reason I'm asking you to do this is because sometimes because we just want our papers to get out, our experiment to go great, our PI to be happy with us, we don't sit and think about how are we feeling and how are we doing with everything that is happening at the university, in our houses, in our hometowns, in our countries. So it's always good to just sit and ask ourselves, how are we feeling? And I cannot start this conversation without like showing you who I am and why am I giving this talk. So who is Lynn Aragon? So I'm an international PhD student from Colombia, and I actually arrived to Canada January 9th, 2020. So 70 days before the whole quarantine started in Waterloo. And I know it can sound crazy, but those 70 days, I could only get like a social security number, a credit card, and I just feel like some people around, but then I couldn't like make strong connections or create friendships because there was no time. There was just so many things I needed to do to start a life in Canada that I didn't have time to connect with a bunch of people. And this actually has impacted my life in so many ways that I will have to say that I'm happy to back again to campus because now I can have an experience in which I can share with other people. I'm also a plant ecologist and physiologist, so I run experiments both in the field and in the greenhouse to get my research done. This means that for me, it's super important to be able to be at the university, to get access to my lab, to finally get instruments to get all my research done. But also, I'm the first and only grad student in my lab. And after 2 years and a half, I have noticed that community is one of the things that I value the most. And during the last 2 years, I just have been trying to create community in every environment I'm part of. So I'm part of the BGSA, the Biology Graduate Student Association. I also like live in a house with 4 roommates because I really needed people around myself. I try to make friends everywhere I go, so you can find me like speaking with random people in the hallways, just because I really need to have people that I could rely on. during hard times. And I just think this because I'm a Latina that just loves uh, to get around with other people. So my experience has been crazy, but I also have grown up so much that I couldn't be more grateful to be here. And now I would like to start talking about coming back to campus, like transitioning back to campus. And as Ashley mentioned, there are like different type of feelings, and I would like you to ask you what type of person are you? So the first step is to recognize how you feel about returning back. So you can be the person in 3 that just feels super happy and super excited about being back. You can be the person in 2 that is like, I don't care, I would like to have in-person classes, but I also like the online environment, so I'm just going to see how it goes. But you can also be the person in 1 that is like, I will not, I don't want to go, I feel anxious, I don't feel comfortable being around so much people. Also, the pandemic is not over, COVID is still a thing, so we should take care of each other. So there are so many things going on, and no one asks grad students or TAs if we wanted to come back. Like, now we just have to do it, but we should recognize which type of person we are. And after we have done this, the second step is going to define your boundaries. So the idea is to ask yourself, and what I would like you to ask, what do you need to feel safe? So would you like to always wear a mask, no matter what are the policies in place or what the government is saying? I will always wear a mask no matter where I am or who I'm meeting with. You would like to only be part of classes in person of a certain number of students. You want only to have a close circle of friends, or you want to have meetings online with your supervisor and live mates because you will rather share with them in an online environment. Another thing I would like you to ask is, what are you willing to do or not? So this means, are you willing to get a vaccine, a booster, another booster? Are you willing to get a test 2 times a week so you can feel safe? Or are you willing to take different courses because you actually don't want to be around so much people, so you need to have small courses? Um, what things can help you feel comfortable is the third question I would like you to solve. So knowing that your peers or friends are vaccinated, is that important for you? That was something we actually did in my lab. PIs cannot ask students if they have been vaccinated or not, but we as a lab decided to create a Google form, like anonymous Google form, in which we say, hey, I have my 2 vaccines at that time, and I'm okay with others knowing that I'm vaccinated. And after all of us fill this form, we decide that we were going to have meetings in person because we were sure that everyone in the lab was vaccinated and was okay with other people knowing they got a vaccine. So there are so many different ways in which you can know about other people, and you just need to sit and like ask for ways in which you can feel comfortable. Also, would you like to have agreements with your friends about the people you are willing to see? Like, probably you only want to hang out with people that has the 2 doses and the booster, and you are not okay with being with a person that has not a booster. So you can talk with your friends, but you need to know what do you need. And the last question is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice time with your friends because actually they have lower standards than you in terms of things that make them feel safe? Are you willing to change the type of experiments or research you do? So I'm a plant ecologist and physiologist, and I need to go to the field and come to the greenhouse. But with the time, we have been thinking about doing more like a meta-analysis and just using databases to solve questions. And the reason we came with this idea, it was because it was impossible to go to the field. The greenhouse was not ready for the type of experiments I needed to do, and I needed to came like I needed to find a plan B. So I say, okay, I can sacrifice the greenhouse. I'm not so willing to sacrifice the field. So instead of doing the greenhouse experiment, I could do like a meta-analysis or use databases to solve a different type of question. Also, the type of your degree, like there are so many options and so many things you could you need to just notice what is the most important thing for you, and then like be okay with saying that. And after you have defined your boundaries, the second step is to set your boundaries, and this means talking with others. So the first thing is let people know how you feel. Are you overwhelmed? Are you worried? You need a space? You feel productive working from home? There is a new book from Brené Brown that is called Atlas of the Heart, and they found like 80 different emotions. But sometimes we just only say happy, sad, and worry, for example. But there are so many emotions, and our bodies can feel all of them. So just let people know how you feel about coming back to university and getting back into being surrounded for a lot of people. Also, try not to assume. Having difficult conversation is having difficult conversation is going to be always super difficult, but don't assume how people will react and be in a defensive mode because you are assuming things. So people can actually surprise you. So arrive to have these conversations with a open mindset and use from a kindness heart that just want to let people know what you need, and also ask people what they need. Also, give people options. Like sometimes it's easy to have difficult conversations when you not only lay out a problem, but you also give options to other people. So will you be working from home and you can come to the lab or office if you are needed here? uh, that could be an option, but you can also say yes, I'm okay with that, but my rule is that I always want people to have their mask. Are you okay with having a 1 hour long in-person meeting of max 5 people? That means that in your lab there is only going to be 5 people, and the meeting is only going to run for 1 hour because that's what you think is enough in this type of environment. And also have a plan to take care of you. Like setting boundaries is never going to be easy, so give yourself a hug after doing this. And when I say a hug, I mean just take a bath, go for a walk, buy some food, watch a movie, just like relax because you have gone through a difficult experience, but you think that that going through this difficult experience is going to allow you to have a better experience at the University of Waterloo. And I'm not an expert by any means, but I have been practicing this for the last 2 years and a half in every interaction. And I'm saying this because I'm from a super different community. I'm from a place in which people is always close. We are always taking care of each other. And suddenly I found myself completely isolated, without friends, without life mates, lab mates, without people that I could rely on. And I start to vocalize all the things that I needed to be able to feel comfortable and to be able to find a space at the university. And I have had so many difficult conversations during the last 2 years, and now I'm like, okay, I'm going to have another one, even though it's super difficult, because this is just going to help me have a better experience in this place and a better relationship with my supervisors, uh, my mates in biology, and the people I work with here. So I'm just like talking from experience. And finally, I would like to tell you that this is your time. This is your time to create a new community, a new group of friends, a new group of colleagues that can work with you for the next 4 or 5 years. This is your time to do your research, to write that paper that you have been dreaming about, to learn about that methodology that you really want to be better at. This is the time to create close relationships and make new friends. This is also the time for you to grow, to become a better person, a better researcher, a better partner, a better friend, a better son or daughter. This is your time to just become a better person. So just make the most of it. This is also the time for you to teach other people. Like we have to TA, we are involved with undergrads, and this is our time to improve our skills as teachers, as professors, as mentors, and you need to feel comfortable to be able to give the best to the other person. And finally, this is your time to enjoy. Grad school, it's harsh, it's painful, it's it's so many things at the same time, but it's also a time in which you can decide if you want to go outside or ride. You have so many, like you are super busy all the time, but you have like a huge capacity to manage your own time. So just enjoy this experience, enjoy the university, and doing this and do this while you feel safe. So for me, this is the time to just grow and be better as researchers and as students, as teachers, as friends, as everything we are in our life. But we have to be better taking care of ourselves, and that's my invitation for today. Um, so I hope you enjoy this talk. I hope I helped you to understand how to define your boundaries and um, tell these boundaries to the people you are surrounded by. And I hope we can meet in the hallways and we can get to know each other. Thank you very much, Ashley and the Graduate Student Association, for having me today. I hope to see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lena. I really appreciate the emphasis on taking care of yourself, especially in this scenario. You know, everyone's under so much pressure and stress, especially us as grad students. And, you know, it's really important to hear those kind of things. So I really appreciate it. For those watching the recording, thank you so much for checking out this Candid Talks video. Hopefully you can walk away with some fresh perspectives on transitioning to campus and learn about how Lena's experience and learn about how to set some boundaries, maybe if you're uncomfortable in your situation. So hopefully you've learned a bit, and see you at the next Candid Talks.